Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears.
It's finally here, fellow Romans. Imperator Rome. The spiritual sequel, I would like to call it, to Europa Universalis Rome has finally been announced. And what a game it already looks to be. A very fascinating approach where a lot of the systems from previous Paradox games are being thrown into the mix. And we're talking about things like population, characters, we're talking about production of goods and whatnot, all in a Roman setting. One of my favorite settings in the entire, basically within history. For those of you who have been following the Roman campaign that I did in Stellaris, that must not be a surprise to you. As already mentioned, set in the Roman period, starting around 304 BCE, 20 years after the death of Alexander the Great, and the map shows it as well, where it spans all the way from the reaches of southern Portugal all the way to what effectively looks like to be Indochina. And the map itself is also incredibly interesting, with it being a globe-like projection rather than the classic Paradox style of just having a big old flat Mercator map. That means that all the places you see on the map are most likely actually true to scale, which makes things even better. The end date, at least so far, as what we know, is going to be 32 AD, which is a little bit too early for the rise of Christianity, but just in time to wrap up everything around the Roman Republic. From a gameplay perspective, you are the Roman state, very similar to what happens in Europa Universalis 4, where you are, in fact, the spirit of the nation that you are playing. Unlike Crusader Kings 2, where you are, in fact, the head of a family. So therefore, in this particular case, the state comes first. The personalities, however, are very much secondary. So that's something you want to keep your eye on. However, what we know also, that this is going to be mostly a war-focused game. And overall, the map, once again, just popping back towards that, has over 7,000 cities on the map that will grow dynamically as your population grows, at least within their relevant provinces. Every single city will produce their own goods that can be traded amongst various systems, kind of similar to what was going on in Victoria 2, where there were complicated systems in order to basically have supply lines and producing goods here and there in order to get your economy up and going. But overall, the amount of detail that we're seeing in the simulation so far, or at least within the screenshots that we've seen so far, are rather staggering. Then there is the resources that you're going to have to deal with on a state level. Now, in Europa, we have the various ruler points, whereas in Stellaris, we got our resources. In Imperator, we're going to be seeing the following. Those are civic points, orator points, military points, religious points, gold, manpower, stability, and finally, tyranny. Now, obviously, a lot of this stuff is still very much being worked on, so we don't know whether or not this is going to be final, but a lot of resources to be handled there. As I mentioned pops earlier on, there will be currently at launch at least 4 of them: citizens, freemen, tribesmen, and slaves, as well as a slew of trade goods. Now, considering the era that we're going to be playing this game in, it means that there is a lot of flexibility when it comes to expansions. They want to get the base game right first, focusing mostly on the Roman Republic. Expect things like the Senate to be very important there, and having to handle all that stuff to make sure that your empire can grow or split asunder into warring states. Now, obviously, it will spawn as a tiny, tiny Rome and grow your empire as it is. Now, very much on the focus on war here, so expect pretty much every single classic war element from the Roman period to be there, such as maybe like the Marius events and stuff like that, but we will have to see how that is going to go and pan out. Today's video, a little bit shorter, obviously. Imperator Rome, very much looking forward to it and really curious to see how this is going to pan out. It will coming out sometime in 2019. So we'll see how that is going to go. Leave your comments below. I will most likely do a full probably a full series. Maybe I'll start to divest from Stellaris a little bit once this game comes out. We shall see. But yeah, Rome, Imperator, or Imperator Rome, coming our way sometime during 2019, and I am extremely excited for this one.